I'm taking an EV cross-country to answer 3 questions most people have about buying an EV. Number 1, how do you plan an EV road trip? Is it different than a regular gas car? Number 2 is, what is the state of the infrastructure of our charging network in the US? Can you actually go from coast to coast and successfully charge? And finally, number 3, and the biggest question that people ask me a lot is, what's the impact of stopping and charging when you're going long distances? Follow me as I do a series of videos and I answer all 3 questions on my trip across country. I'm Paul, and this is Paul's Garage. When I first started posting videos about EVs, I was frankly pretty surprised about the comments I got. I got people who either loved EVs, people who hated them, people said they weren't ready for prime time or too expensive. A lot of misconceptions too. So I decided this summer, I'm gonna take an EV cross country and show what it's really like. And I'm trying to answer those 3 questions I talked about. How do you plan a trip? What's the infrastructure like? How does charging impact you? And what's it really like to take this on a road trip? And I decided to do it in one of the cars on the market with one of the shortest ranges possible, and that's this, the Volkswagen ID Buzz. The ID Buzz has one of the shortest ranges of any electric vehicle on the market right now. So if we're going to look at real-world experience, I wanted to have as many charging opportunities as possible, and I wanted to use as many different chargers as possible. So I'm putting together this series of videos, and this is going to be part 1, where I talk just about what it's like to plan and what I've learned so far about planning on an EV trip. Now, when I left on this trip, I had some ideas on how I was going to plan it out, but I'll tell you those changed very quickly, and I wanted to share those with you in this video.
Part 1 of my road trip is over 2,000 miles, starting in Southern California, crossing Arizona, New Mexico, the Texas Panhandle, and then going through the Mid-South and ending up in Nashville, Tennessee.
When most people plan a road trip, probably the first thing they do is just put the destination in their car's navigation system. And when I began this road trip, that's what I did. I just went to the navigation system, and let's just use this as an example. Let's just say I am going to go to Minneapolis. And this car's navigation system
Please
will
drive to the route shown.
look
Your
at,
route has a necessary charging stop.
so this will give me a route, and it will tell me where I need to charge and how long I need to charge to get to my destination. Now, this seems like a good idea, and I use this for the first couple of times. However, what I found out is that this doesn't have all available chargers. In fact, it seems to prefer Electrify America, even though I've actually turned that off in one of the preferences. You could turn on or off Electrify America. I said all available charging stations over 50 kilowatt hours. So one of the things I found out about using this navigation system is that it doesn't have all the different charging networks. It also does not have live data. So let's just say I get to Alexandria and all of the chargers are full and I have to wait. I won't know that until I get to Alexandria to do the charging. Another option that people usually use for planning is they just go to Google Maps and find out what routes are available. And you can do that with an EV. And they do have EV data, so you can create your route and then add where EVs are along your route. And I did use this for a while, but it wasn't as robust. It didn't include everything that was available, and also didn't always give you live data. It had some live data from like Electrify America and things like that, but not from other charging networks. So while it was very close, it wasn't exactly the best planning tool. The second thing I went to was I looked at all the apps that are available from the different charging networks. Now, things like ChargePoint and Electrify America, they all have their own apps. And if you go onto their app, you can find out where chargers are nearby and what they charge for electricity. And that's another thing, is you also want to know how much you're paying for electricity. The only problem with that is you're referencing all sorts of different apps. So the next option is to use a thing called PlugShare, and that's an app that tries to consolidate all the different plugs and charging options that are available, which is really good. You can use it and look at their map function and find chargers, and sometimes it's live data, sometimes it's not. People will post if they had a successful charge or if they had issues with the charger or anything like that. that was also a good option for me to find all sorts of different chargers and networks. It also has not only level 3 chargers, but it also had level 2 chargers. So a lot of times in traveling, hotels will have a level 2 charger that's free, which means if you're spending the night there, you could plug in overnight and fully charge your EV for free, which actually turns out to be a very handy thing when you're planning. However, none of these apps really are consolidated into one. And I did find one app that really was a game changer for me. Now, I'm going to mention the app, and I'm going to tell you I'm not affiliated with them. I get no kickback, but it really was something that really changed the game for me in planning. And that is an app called A Better Route Planner. And a Better Route Planner actually does a couple of different things. First of all, it's a navigation software, so you can use CarPlay and use it in your navigation system. It also has live connections to all sorts of different charging networks. So it may not have all chargers if they're not networked and available online, but most of the major charging networks, it has live data. So it will tell you how many chargers are available. And the third thing it does is it actively connects to your car and gets live data from your car to know the state of your battery charge. So it will take your battery state into account when it is coming up with a plan. So let's take, for an example, this route that I just did. We're going from Detroit Lakes to Minneapolis. It will plan and look at all the different charging networks, and it will give me a couple different routes with a couple different options, and it actually breaks it down into segments so I could see how many miles I'm going to be driving in each segment and how long I have to charge. Now, when I am getting near a charge station, if it's full and there's an alternative charger, it will actually offer me that too. The third benefit this app has is that you can put in what charging networks you belong to. So for example, I'm a member of Electrify America, so I get reduced rates, and also for Tesla. So it will take those into account, and it will include those and give them a higher priority to charge, knowing that I'm going to get a cheaper rate for the electricity there. So that really changed the game for me because it opened me up to all sorts of different charging networks. And it also let me use price as a way to determine how best to go. And as we found out on this trip, charging on the road can be expensive. Rates vary greatly, and there really isn't a gas buddy type app where you can quickly look at what costs are for charging while you're on the road. Another great advantage of a Better Route Planner is that it is available on all platforms. So you can use it on a laptop, your iPad, and your iPhone. So you can, the night before, go on your computer, plan where you're going to go. It will offer you some options. You can choose the route, save the route, and then when you get in your car, log on to CarPlay and you can pull that route up that you've done. So it really helps in the planning process. I hope you found this planning information helpful. It was a lot that I learned to make a successful road trip. In my next video, I'm going to talk about the EV infrastructure, all the different charging networks out there, the successes I had, the failures I had, which ones I ended up relying on, and how much it really costs. So stay tuned for my next video in this series. And if you did like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up, like and subscribe, and see you on the open road.